The zombie storyline is littered with mysteries, and we've had a hard time filling in the gaps within our story. There's so many holes, there's so many questions, and it gets difficult, but the timeline has been a godsend, and there's been so much we've been able to learn, so many plot holes we've been able to finally understand, so many questions are answered, and I've been doing this over the past few videos explaining all of the new things we learned from the timeline. I've made a few of these videos in the past, but one area of the timeline I've yet to actually touch is Agartha. So today what I thought I'd be doing is going through many of the different things we learned about Agartha because of the timeline. I have for you 5 new things that we've never known before or never fully understood. We're going to begin with this bit called the Dark Aether. Some keepers begin experiments with the Dark Aether, which corrupts and corrodes their souls. Among them is the Shadow Man. What I love about this is that this links the Shadow Man in with the keepers. We never quite knew what was up with the Shadow Man and where he came from. Monty used to talk about the Shadow Man as one of his best friends. They used to get along really well. Monty remembers fondly of all the times, all the laughs they shared. But Monty said that he got corrupted by the keepers. But now we see that it seems as though the Shadow Man was actually one of the original keepers, and he was one of the keepers who was messing with the Dark Aether, and then he got corrupted. So it wasn't necessarily that he was just his own person and then the Dark Keepers came along and corrupted him. No, he was among those original keepers that got corrupted, and this gives us a better understanding of the origins of the Shadow Man, where he comes from. It appears as though he was actually a keeper, and we never fully understood that. The next thing I have for you is the happiness of the children. Monty brings Eddie and Samantha more toys. Remember the Origins ending? All of the cool little things we saw in the background? We thought that was just Treyarch paying fan service to us. Little Easter eggs. Oh, here's something from Shangri-La. Here's something from Origins. Here's something from Call of the Dead. Here's something from Mob of the Dead. Here's the Transit Crew. No, they weren't doing that just because they wanted to pay homage to everything they had done before. The reason all of these different things are there is because Monty has been bringing them toys. These toys are artifacts or objects from other dimensions, and he brings them into the house, and these are things that the children play with. We're not exactly sure why the toys that he chooses to give to the children are artifacts from our world, but when we see them play zombies, it's not that they're recreating zombies or that zombies has been a game this whole time. They are actually playing with real objects from our worlds that we have actually been playing in. These are toys that Monty has been giving to them. The next thing I have for you is the Summoning Key. The Keepers craft the Summoning Key, a device that allows them to manipulate the Aether, holding power over reality itself. They use it to create Agartha. So this is the origins of the Summoning Key. We had a rough idea of where the Summoning Key came from this cipher. When you solve this cipher, you receive the message Chronorium Excerpt 349561223. The Summoning Key is one of the oldest artifacts in all of creation. It was used by the first one to mix all the dimensions with life, giving each one its unique balance. Under certain circumstances, it has the ability to form bridges between dimensions, allowing the transfer of life forces back and forth. It resides in the 63rd dimension of creation. So this didn't give us a great idea of where the Summoning Key came from. It just said it was one of the oldest artifacts. For all we know, it could have been there since the beginning of time, but as we now learn, it was created by the Keepers. And one of the things the cipher says, it mentions somebody called the First One. Well, the timeline doesn't mention the first one at all, but it does say the Keepers crafted the Summoning Key and used it to create Agartha, so this means that the first one was actually a Keeper, and the nice thing about this little bit of the timeline is we have a better understanding of some of the original beings of the universe, how they created the Summoning Key, and what they actually used the Summoning Key for. The cipher gave us a good idea, but with the cipher and this bit of the timeline, we can finally get the full picture. What I have for you next is about the pyramid. I actually have two bits of the timeline. We have the Aether Pyramid. The corrupted keepers create the Aether Pyramid, a device capable of absolute power. A schism forms between them and those keepers untainted by the Dark Aether. The next thing I have for you is the War of Agartha ends. Facing defeat, the corrupted keepers hide the Aether Pyramid on the moon. And that's all we really need to know. It's just the fact that they made the pyramid and then put it on the moon. We thought we understood the pyramid. In fact, I made a video on this in the past in which I explained it using one of these ciphers. This cipher says, Canorium X or B. To allow for quick travel between dimensions, the Keepers created the transference device, which is powered by the Aether. The Keepers have placed these structures throughout the realms. We thought that this was the pyramid because there are multiple pyramids throughout the different realms, and they're a structure, and maybe they use them to transfer around. We didn't exactly know what they used the pyramids before. It just seemed that when people enter the pyramid, they can have power in Agartha. We thought because the Keepers maybe are already in Agartha, that they can just use this to zip around the world. But that's not actually the case. This cipher is not related to the pyramids. Now we know that the pyramid is actually a dark, corrupted Keeper device, powered by the Dark Aether, and this seems to be why when people touch it, they are corrupted by the Dark Aether, such as Richtofen, and now we know how it got onto the moon. The Dark Keepers, the corrupted Keepers, just threw it onto the moon, thinking, no, nobody would ever look for it there, nobody would ever find it, and they can keep that hidden from the good Keepers, and then eventually it was discovered by Richtofen. The last bit I have for you is not actually from the Agartha swirl, but relates to Agartha. This is actually from Origins, June 4th, 1918. Element 115 awakens the undead knights from the Great War and quickly consumes the camp. Maxis is rendered catatonic by the element. Richtofen removes his brain before he turns. Dempsey, Nikolai, and Takio unite with Richtofen on the battlefield and help free Samantha from her imprisonment in Agartha. Primus has been reunited. Samantha sends Primus to their next destination. Maxis' brain arrives in Agartha and Dr. Monty decides to step in. Monty brings Maxis' brain to the house and wipes the corrupted Maxis by the Dark Aether from existence. So the evil Maxis who took complete control of Agartha in Buried at the end of Buried is now gone. He was wiped from existence. He had to exist in order for Origins to happen, but now that Samantha has been freed from Agartha and he is still this corrupt and evil force in Agartha, Monty has whisked him away and he is gone for good. That's going to wrap things up for this video. This is all of the cool stuff that we learned about Agartha from the timeline that we never knew before. Like I said, it's not a lot of earth-shattering brand new stuff, but what it does is it fills in all the different gaps, all the little different holes in the storyline that we never quite understood, and now we have a complete picture of what's going on in both Agartha and the rest of the world and how it all links together. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and bye.